the Director of Fundraising, and I'm going to be talking to you today about Beta Alpha Psi.
If you don't want to, I get it.
So,
if you don't mind.
Who are we? So Beta Alpha Psi is a co-ed honors organization for accounting, finance, and ITC majors. We have weekly chapter meetings every Thursday in class room 433 from 6:30 to 8, depending on how long everyone wants to stay, late, talk, and mingle. We have guest speakers come to present from us, from like Deloitte, Abacus, the state auditor, which is actually how I got my internship there, and got a full-time job opportunity. We dress business casual. We have a bunch of group activities like bowling, laser tag. We go to big shots, and also a lot of service opportunities like Ozarks Food Harvest, the Bear Pantry, and these opportunities are really good. You can use it to talk on, say, like scholarship applications or in the interview process, and you're also giving back to the community. So benefits of the membership, of course, networking with professionals, getting that face-to-face interaction, and then you also stand out during the interview process. They recognize you, and you just get to know a lot more about those companies because they give you a good deep dive. It also improves your communication and leadership skills. I have a leadership position over fundraising, and also, as you can tell, I'm presenting. That definitely helps me, especially if I want to be, say, a budget analyst, presenting that information to higher ups like the CEO of a company. I need to know how to present well. It also helps you build your resume. Like I said, volunteer work is always a good thing to have. We also compete yearly in the best practices. I don't know much about this. Due to COVID, we haven't been competing lately, but in the past we would rank first in a lot of things. Can you tell anything about best practices?
Well, so best practices, essentially what they'll do is they'll give you a prompt on something that they think needs updated in the accounting, IT, or finance sphere of professionalism, right? So I can't remember exactly what the prompts are this year. We haven't looked at them too closely yet. But you will create a case for it. If anybody ever did like policy or cross-examination debate in high school, it's similar to that, where you build a case and then you make an argument for it and you'll do a presentation. Typically, Missouri State places very highly at the national competitions. It is kind of a point of pride for the College of Business that Beta Alpha Psi from Missouri State does so well. We're kind of the envy of other chapters in the region because we go to regionals and it's basically a sweep. And then we go to nationals and we typically have a team or two place first or second at nationals. So it's really exciting if you are a member of Beta Alpha Psi and you choose to do the best practices. You basically get an all expenses trip paid to wherever nationals is going to be that year. But it is work. It is not just saying you're going to sign up for a group and then doing your typical group work thing where you wait until the last minute to do anything. It's a semester, almost 2 semesters worth of work.
So it's a lot of fun. We are actually starting that this year again. So some favorite things from students that's told us: they love the community, motivated individuals with the same goals in mind that helps everyone just do their best. They love hearing and networking with professionals, and also free food. So there are some requirements to join Beta Alpha Psi. You have to either be a finance, ITC, or accounting major, as I said previously. You have to have completed 45 credit hours, and you also have some GPA requirements. I have some forms if you want to remember other requirements and if you have any other questions about it. And also, I'm going to be passing around contact information if you would like to know more about the organization, and also if you'd like to attend the first meeting, which our first professional meeting is September 1st, this Thursday. Forvis will be coming to present to us, formerly known as BKD. We meet in Glass 434 at 6:30, business casual. Sadly, no jeans allowed. I'd love it, but no jeans. We also have another event coming up, the barbecue, September 14th, 2022. That's at Fast Night Park, starting at 5 p.m. to 7. There'll be games like cornhole, and we'll just get a meet and greet with members. So are there any questions you guys have for me? No? Yes.
So what's the difference between Beta Alpha Psi and the accounting club? I mean, I am a student group, because this morning they also make the speech like to tell about like accounting club and the professional workshop. So what's the big difference between us and them?
I think the big difference is that we meet more and there's more requirements. A lot of employers know our group to be prestigious, and there's I say a huge drive to get us, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, typically speaking, when employers are at a Beta Alpha Psi meeting, they're there to recruit. They're not just there to present their company or their culture to you. They're looking for students that they want to hire on as intern, or they want to hire in full time. Typically speaking, that is because, like Jennifer said, there are stricter requirements. There's GPA requirements. You've got to meet professional hours. You have a certain number of professional hours you have to have every semester, and you've got a certain number of volunteer service hours you've got to meet every semester. So it's not just everybody that's joining it, it's the students that have a willingness to work, and they show that dedication towards an organization like that, and employers. And typically, from what I've seen, employers really like that. When you see Beta Alpha Psi on a resume, it does one of two things. It usually says, okay, this student they're successful with their academic career, and they're also willing to put in work, which is what a lot of these internships are looking for. And also, most of the people hiring you were Beta Alpha Psi members at some point in the past, so it's a point of recognition for you as well. Oh, you're a Beta Alpha Psi. I was president of Beta Alpha Psi when I was an undergrad. What do you do for them? What do you do with them? So it's just another way to build your network. Accounting club is great. You get to meet lots of employers, but they only meet once a month. It's a larger club, so you don't get as much one-on-one or FaceTime with the employers that are there, as opposed to Beta Alpha Psi, where you're getting plenty of it. You get all kinds of opportunities to speak to employers. So that is how I would draw the delineation between what is accounting club, what is Beta Alpha Psi, and what's the difference.
Thank you. I couldn't say it better myself. This is my first time presenting for Beta Alpha Psi. Okay? So if there's no more questions, I'm just going to wait on the sidelines for that sheet to get passed around, and let me check my...
Also, if your girlfriend is an officer, she will make you do it. So.
Wow. Wow. Very true.
You're up.
All right. Well, I'll reinforce some stuff you just said about Beta Alpha Psi as well. So one of our most recent new hires was an officer in Beta Alpha Psi, and that is always a positive to see on the resume. So it's a great organization. If you have the ability to do it, I would highly encourage it. So just to give you a little info about myself and my firm, my name is Josh Beard. I'm a partner at the Whitlock company. We're a regional CPA firm here in Missouri with offices in Springfield as our headquarters, Kansas City, and then Joplin. We're actually downstairs today in the atrium as the employer of the day. I think I've seen a couple of your faces come by already and talk with us today, so thank you for that. And if you have a chance after this class, we're going to be down there till 2 o'clock, so come by and see us. We have some swag to give away, so come grab our stuff. You can get some more information about us, and we're doing a drawing for $25 Amazon gift cards as well, so hopefully worth your time to come stop by. But personally, I'm a Missouri State grad. I'm starting to get old now, I feel, but I finished my undergrad in 2009. I got my master's in accountancy here in 2010. So it was a great experience, and you all are very lucky to have the building that you have now. So when I come here, I remember how glass used to be before the remodel, and it's very nice now. So I think some of my student fees help pay for the upgrades that have happened around campus. So you're all welcome for that. But yeah, it's awesome to be able to come back. I'm also on the School of Accountancy Advisory Board, so there's a board of firms and businesses from really all over the region that help give some guidance to Dr. Church and the other professors in the School of Accountancy to talk about what are we seeing in industry, what kind of things are going on in the accounting world, what do we need from our students. And this professionalism class is something that's going to help you all as you go from school into the workforce and have some of those skills that you need that employers are looking for. As a firm, we've been around so the Whitlock Company is our firm name. We've been around in some form for 110 years now. We are what you could call a full service accounting firm. We do audit, tax, accounting and advisory services. We also do some IT risk advisory and consulting services. And as a lot of firms are experiencing now, the industry is changing rapidly. So that's why we are getting involved in other areas like IT, that is becoming a more and more important thing to just expand the scope of services that we're able to do. So a lot of the recent hires that we've had are accounting majors, but then they also may have an IT minor or a cybersecurity minor, or I think there's a data analytics certificate available at Missouri State. So those kind of things are areas that we're expanding into, and if you're able to do something like that to add with your accounting degree, then it's very valuable for you. So I encourage you all to do that if you haven't already thought about that. So yeah, that's kind of the history of myself and the firm. So since this is professionalism class, I'm just going to take a few minutes to kind of explain to you some key things that we're looking for whenever we interview people, or ideally whenever we have someone come in with an internship. Our model is typically we like for someone to intern with us for a period of time, kind of get to know them, they get to know us, make sure it's a good fit, and then that typically leads into a full-time position. So as some of the stuff you guys have probably heard before, but I think it's good to hear. The more you hear it, the more it sinks in, the better you're going to be in the end. So communication is one of the big things that we look for in a new hire or an intern whenever we're working with young people. It's such a crucial component of what you do every day, because right now you're in school, you're learning the debits and credits and how you account for things and how you do a tax return and how you do an audit, all that kind of stuff. And that's very valuable, and that's kind of the nuts and bolts of what we do. But you also have to be able to communicate that information to a client or an investor or a partner or whoever you're working with. You have to be able to share that information in a way that's intelligible and understandable. So just always make sure you're working on your communication skills. Beta Alpha Psi, as she talked about, is a great way to do that. Learning to get up and make a presentation, or sit at a table with someone and explain thought process behind something, or make an argument to persuade somebody about why this may be the right accounting treatment compared to another viewpoint that somebody else has. So one big piece of that nowadays is just the mode of communication that we're using. Within the last few years with the pandemic, we've obviously gone to a much more digital environment with video meetings or just text messages, all that kind of stuff. So when you're doing that, you just have to make sure you don't forget the face-to-face time and the benefit of that sometimes. So I always encourage our young people, whenever you're going to communicate with someone, just make sure you're thinking through not what you need to say, but how you need to say it. Does it make more sense for this to be in a message? Should it be an email? Should I set up a phone call? Should it be a video conference? Whatever you need to do. Because sometimes the mode you go through can convey just as much as what you're actually saying. So let's say you may have something could be contentious with the client. You don't necessarily just want to shoot off an email to that client, because they could misinterpret what you're saying, get upset about it, and you could open a whole can of worms that you don't need to open. Maybe if it's a contentious issue, you send them a message, say, hey, can we set up a video chat for this time? You can see them, read their facial expressions, read their body language, and it's going to help you have a much clearer communication in that situation. Another big thing you need to be aware of in communication is just people's communication style. So one tool that we use in our firm is called DISC. I don't know if any of you have heard of that before, but it essentially puts people into quadrants as far as what they prefer, kind of based on how people-oriented they are or how task-oriented they are. Some introversion, extroversion comes into play there. But whenever you're talking with someone, you need to think through what they would prefer. So are you talking with someone that likes to have a little chit chat, just kind of shoot the breeze for a while, or do they want to get straight to the facts and the numbers and get that task done and move on? If you have someone that is a facts and figures oriented person and you're trying to chat them up for 5 minutes before you get to it, they're probably going to get impatient with you, and that impatience may lead to frustration, and it's going to hurt your communication style. Or if, on the other side, if you have someone that wants to chit chat and be a little more social at first, if you try to get straight into the facts and figures, they're going to be a little put off and thinking, well, why didn't they ask about my family? Or why didn't they ask what I did this weekend? So always keep that in mind whenever you're communicating with somebody. And if you've never had a chance, I would encourage you to do something like a DISC analysis to figure out what your communication style is, and then it also will help you be able to recognize traits in other people, and you may be able to determine what their communication style is. Another big thing that you can start doing now, and then I would encourage you all to do as you get into your career, early in your career, is take on stretch projects. So again, the Beta Alpha Psi segued very perfectly into that, but Beta Alpha Psi is a good opportunity to do that whenever you're still in school. So you learn to get up in front of people, make a presentation, or you do special projects and go to competitions that are going to stretch you and kind of get you out of just your normal day in, day out class, but give you an opportunity to learn new skills and different skills that you might not necessarily get in the classroom, or to enhance skills that you're going to get in the classroom. Also, when you're early in your career, be a person that volunteers to do the extra thing. There's many times where we'll have a young person that comes in new to our firm, and they will ask a good question like, why are you doing it this way? You could try this, or have you ever thought of this new software, or are you aware of this new thing out there? And we love that. It makes us better as a firm. It helps us be more efficient. It helps us to be innovative. So you all have knowledge and skills that I don't have as a partner that's been in the firm for 13 years. So bring those opportunities to your superiors and be willing to take the lead on implementing whatever it is. And then the last big thing, seek leadership opportunities outside of your career, and seek opportunities out of just volunteer opportunities, whatever that is, outside of your career, because that's also going to give you a different, unique skill set than what you're going to get in the classroom or what you're going to get on the job. So you probably all have some kind of hobby or interest that you enjoy to do outside of school. A lot of times there's probably some kind of club or group or charitable organization that may fit in with those interests that you have. And if you have an opportunity to serve on a board or volunteer for some initiative in that capacity, you're going to, one, meet new interesting people, most likely, and two, it's going to help you build some leadership skills that you may not have the opportunity to do right away in a job. Because a lot of times in a job, there's some hierarchy there. Sometimes it can take some years to advance and move into what would be a leadership position. But a lot of times in a not-for-profit or a charitable organization or a club, whatever it is, there's more opportunities early on to be able to take leadership. And sometimes those skills that you learn there will transfer over to your career down the road. So in conclusion, just make sure that you're aware of your communication style, thinking about your communication style, and practicing it all the time. You have a great opportunity here now in school to practice it. Take the extra time you have, practice your communication, and then seek leadership roles, because that's going to help you now, but it's also going to help you in the future as you move into being business leaders, 5, 10, 15 years down the road. So that's all I have in terms of presentation. Woo-hoo. Are there any questions? Like I said, we are recruiting, so yeah, if you have any questions about recruiting or what public accounting looks like or what my job looks like, yeah, I'm open to it. Go ahead.
So like when it comes to audit and tax, do you feel like IT is still something that is shifting towards as well?
Yes, it definitely is. So the audit I was doing 12 years ago when I started is much different now. We are using a lot more data analytics tools. we're not using artificial intelligence yet as a firm, but we're thinking about it, and there are options out there as a smaller firm to be able to do that. But the cool thing that data analytics does and artificial intelligence are starting to do is guide you towards better questions. So they're not necessarily going to give you the answer, but if you have good data analytics tools, you're going to be able to drill down on an entire population of transactions and see variations and distributions and trends and ask questions about those things. Whereas in the past, we would have just, if we had a sample of, if we had a population of 100,000 transactions, we would just do a sample and kind of get random transactions within that, but not necessarily dig into where the risk is. So the analytics are allowing us to really target the risk and dig into those areas that impact the audit. Any other questions? Yeah.
So just for fun, do you think that the introduction of this new trend of data analytics and all that will move closer towards ever being absolute assurance for anything?
It could. I mean, yeah. It's hard. It's hard because you don't know how quickly these things happen. But I don't think it'd be out of the realm of possibility 20 years from now. Maybe you do have some level of absolute assurance. This gets into things I don't know as much about either. But then if you talk about something like the blockchain, where you almost have absolute assurance with there. So if we keep moving towards some more things like the blockchain and having those verified transactions happen, like every transaction is verified, then you're getting pretty close to absolute assurance at that point.
Instant acceptance, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Like dollar bill or dollar bill. I have a question real quick. So, of course I'm non-traditional, and that's my label, but I'm always interested to see like where, I'm going to fit in terms of, and I think the larger the operation and maybe the larger the vision is to see somebody like, and it's not that I'm carrying a banner for veterans or anything like that. I don't speak for anybody else, but I can just say that, there's Beta Alpha Psi and then there's the United States Marine Corps, that I have 8 years of active duty in.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes that gets overlooked. So I'm often wondering, is it, I want to meet all you guys and all that stuff because I feel like there's a lot of value in somebody like me and my whole segment of, potential, employees or
Mm-hmm.
or that's a huge untapped resource. I feel, but sometimes it's so specific. What you guys see, the traditional student, which is great too. But I'm so different from that sometimes. It's like I went up to tables before and there were people just like, "Are you a student here?" You know what I mean? And that's okay. I'm used to it now. But it's fine. And I have a whole support network behind me that I really don't have to worry too much, about that sort of stuff. But I'm always interested and curious to see what's going on in other areas too. So I'm more of a statement or a question. But I'm always asking, what sort of outreaches or initiatives would a company like yours have in terms of veterans outreach or veterans issues or something of that matter?
Mm-hmm. Well, there's definitely a place for you at a lot of different firms and businesses because, with your experience, you're going to have a unique skill set that will be very valuable to a lot of firms. And probably some of the stuff I was talking about communication and leadership, you've already done that.
Yeah.
So our company in particular, we don't have anything directly targeted towards veterans at this point. But just speaking of non-traditional students in general, that is a huge area now, and it's something that's definitely on our radar because with the shift that's happened in the economy and hiring over the last few years especially, there's a lot of people that had another career or maybe just waited to go to school for some reason. So they're coming into accounting now realizing that it's a good job, a good career, and that as we are potentially going into another recession here, there's still going to be jobs there that may not exist in other areas. So I know a big area now too is people that were educators, teachers in public schools or whatever that are. It's unfortunate for the school system. I hate to see that, but there's people leaving education coming into accounting programs, and they bring a very good skill set if they've been in education for 5 or 10 years and are now coming into accounting. It's like the thing, again, the same things I was talking about with communication, leadership. They learn those skills in education. So it's definitely on our radar, and we are making more efforts to target what would be a non-traditional student to work in our firm.
I think that's smart of you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, good question. And I'll add too, as we were talking about data analytics and blockchain and assurance and what the future of assurance looks like. I think the audit now, as I said, the audit now didn't look like it did 10 years ago when I started, and it's not going to look the same 10 years from now. So we are pivoting to a higher level, higher value service for the future, because there may be some of the test work that we would have an entry-level staff do that will no longer need to be done 10 years from now. So for that reason, I'm pounding on the communication, leadership, because where the value for the accounting industry in the future is going to be is taking what the data analytics shows, or the blockchain transactions, and communicating them to the stakeholders and to the business owners, and getting into things more like forecasting and projections, and helping businesses run their business, and not just coming in and doing an audit on the numbers. So that's very front
There's a lot
front
of
of mind
training
for
that
us.
happens, as far as like cross training, or people that want to move into that area, which is just really interesting and just unlimited. Who knows where but it's smart to get started now in that direction, because that's where it's all headed.
Yeah, there is a lot of training, especially for someone like me that started 12 years ago. Like the data analytics stuff wasn't nearly a hot topic like it is now. So yeah, I've kind of tried to self-teach myself in a lot of ways, and then I think I mentioned in the beginning, we're looking for people to have that dual skill set with accounting and a data analytics certificate, or accounting and cybersecurity, because
That's awesome.
that's just where everything is headed.
It's fun too.
Any other questions?
I can have 7 to 10 more. That's fine with me.
All right, well, thank you, Josh. Like you said, they're downstairs today, so if you do have 7 or 10 more questions, great opportunity to go ask them.
I brought my car.